Welcome, everyone. My name is Mike McCammon. I'm the Executive Director of the NFC Forum. I am joined here by a number of very distinguished guests to do a webinar on, well, actually, basically a workshop on the certification programs and how there is interconnection between the Car Connectivity Consortium, Digital Key Initiative, and the NFC Forum as part of that ecosystem. This is our agenda, so we're going to do quick introductions, and then we're going to hand it off to Glenn and Jorg to talk through the Digital Key Certification Program and the role of Test Solutions. And then Arnaud, who is our Compliance Committee Chair, will walk through how NFC Forum certification process works. We'll do a quick summarization at the end, and then we'll leave some time open for Q&A. If you're not familiar with GoToWebinar, there is a questions panel that you're more than welcome to ask there. And what we'll do is when we get close to the end, we'll swing back around. If there's not enough questions to fill the time, we'll open the mic and let people ask verbally as well. So you'll have a couple different opportunities. All right, next slide, please. Okay, well, I'll do NFC Forum first, and then I'll pass to Glenn. So on the right-hand side of your slide, the NFC Forum, there are a number of individuals that are involved in the work. These are just some of the leadership roles. So Arnaud, as I've mentioned, he's the chair. Jose from ST is the vice chair of the Compliance Committee. That's the governing body of our certification program. On the staff side, we have a gentleman by the name of Sten Wendell. He's our certification manager. And we do have a network of authorized test labs and tools, and all of those can be found on our website if you click on the build and go to labs and testing tools if you'd like to find that information. And I'll pass it over to Glenn.
Yeah, hi. So thank you. This is Glenn Stone. I'm the technical director for the Car Connectivity Consortium. People you might interact with in CCC when it comes to certification is our certification working group chair, Lawrence, from Thales Group. On the call today is our certification architect, Dr. Jorg Breckenziek. And we have another certification engineer that's very knowledgeable about our spec, Ed Pichon. So that's our group. I'm going to talk for a little bit about the CCC initiative, the Digital Key Initiative, and then hand it off to Jorg for a couple slides. All right, so today what we are talking about is the certification programs within CCC, but specifically today is about NFC. Also, I'd like to point out that NFC is mandatory for CCC. So as we progress in our specifications to include things like Bluetooth and UWB functionality, you'll always be required to have NFC as part of the implementation. NFC allows you to do the open and close of the vehicle and to drive the vehicle. Also, within that program, we get all the key management so that key sharing can be done and termination and more things. And then in the future, we'll be launching programs that include the BLE UWB functionality, which allows you to open and close the door when approaching the vehicle and to be able to drive the vehicle. And we use UWB for our secure access mechanisms when going fully wireless. Okay, next slide. These are what I like to call our pillars of certification benefits. You get enhanced credibility because certification has a meaning that instills trust among consumers, partners, and stakeholders, that they all have worked together to make something work. Our certification program runs testing that gives a proven interoperability. So you know that the experience in the products you're working with have been tested and will interoperate as expected. And then you get, this final pillar is about the logo and being able to let customers know that you're part of the Digital Key program, and they can have sort of, they know that consumers will know that they're entering an ecosystem of interoperability and credibility through the use of the logo. So it's a very important benefit of the certification program. And next slide, please. So how to certify? One is to join the CCC. Certification is free for all CCC members. There are some restrictions, but basically it's free. Core members can attend Plugfest and participate in the working groups to guide the specification. And adopter members will have access to the certification program and the benefits of certification. So there's different levels of membership, and that's available on our website. Once you're a member, though, then you go ahead and develop your product, and we have multiple ways for that to go on. We have tools. You can pre-test internally, you can pre-test privately with other devices, and you can attend PlugFest, which is a major way of information sharing to see how all the different things interoperate. We highly encourage PlugFests, and we hold a lot of them. Once you're ready, you apply for certification on our website. We have a standard forms now that you go through. You select a lab, schedule your test dates, and complete your testing. And that once that is done, you get a certification certificate. You get to use the logo and the mark. We have specific brand usage guidelines on how to do that, and then you're done. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Jorg now to talk a little bit more in detail about the testing with NFC.
Okay, great. Thank you, Glenn. So I'd like to give you an overview of what's included in Digital Key Certification. So what the different aspects are, what we are testing and looking after. Some of those are CCCs, very CCC specific, where we have developed our own program or parts of the program. And we also, that's what you see on the left side. On the right side, we also referring to external certifications, and we rely on them and use them in order to support our ecosystem as well. So starting on the left side, you see what we're doing. We do functional compliance testing, so meaning we test products which are going through certification against a test tool. At the moment, we are using this for DK applet compliance testing. So there's a dedicated feature for on the phone side, on the end user device side, where we test the operational functionality of the DK applet being installed on a secure element. We also do end-to-end interoperability testing, which is the main piece of our certification program at the moment, which is really run by CCC. In this program, we are testing products against devices from an interoperability device list. The IDL you can basically treat as a list of golden reference devices. So these are products we have tested in detail in different and multiple PlugFests, and we determined to be suitable for golden devices, basically. And those are tested against then their peer devices. This particular applies if you certify a vehicle, if you certify an end user device, so it would be a smartphone, a watch, something like that to that. We also test and in interoperability our backend infrastructure. These are the vehicle OEM server, the device OEM server, and also the relay server, which comes into play when you do key sharing across the device ecosystem. We also have a program for security evaluation. This is particularly for the DK applet side, which is on the mobile device side, which holds the assets particularly of the digital key itself. And we have developed a protection profile, and we assess the protection profile and our products under this protection profile. We are using laboratories, so we have authorized a variety of different laboratories for compliance testing as well for interoperability testing. We also have a list of evaluation laboratories for doing security evaluations. For external certification, I mentioned we are referring to already established certification programs like the NFC Forum, which helps us with functional compliance testing, particularly applying this to the vehicle door handle, the vehicle console reader, and also the NFC reader and on the end user device side. We extend this as well to security aspect. So we do security certification for the device OEM server using PCI DSS or the ISO 27001 certification program. And then more detailed on the phone side, the digital key framework and the device OS itself. So we use MDFPP or CMDPP certification. So again, protection profiles which ensure that the digital key certification the implementations are secure to store digital keys. Go to the next slide. I'd like to dive a bit more into detail into the end-to-end interoperability testing. So what we do, we test products against other products. So we use the device under test, which might be a vehicle, and we test it against a set of smartphones as IDL devices. During the testing, we observe the wireless transport between the two devices. And in our first part, this will be NFC, and we have a test tool which observes that and records those message exchanges between both products. We analyze those message exchanges at one time. We can also do it offline, and then we use it to do basic protocol compliance testing. Some limitations, as the test tool is purely passive, so we cannot inject, or we do not inject any messages. We don't modify any of the message exchanges. So basically, we do valid behavior testing. But the test tool is actually able potentially able to actually to jam message exchanges, so to inject some form of an error. And all of that is operated by a test engineer. And the test cases we are running are really end user scenarios. So what you as an end user would do if you are interacting with a DigiKey product. That's what we do in interoperability testing. If you go to the next slide, which shows a picture of our NFC solution. So this is for NFC testing, where we test the vehicle against an end user device, observing the wireless transport. In this case, it's NFC only what we are observing. We have been partnering with Comprion. So Comprion has developed the DigiKey solution for NFC testing for us using a dedicated hardware sniffer, which allows to sniff the NFC traffic and also allows to disturb the traffic between the two. So we have a spy antenna which is put into the operating volume of the NFC message exchange, and then we are observing the NFC transport messages, analyzing them, and provide a verdict for the different test cases. So this is operated by the dedicated test tool, which is provided by Comprion as well. And per test case, we get a verdict, and that verdict is then being recorded in test reports, then provided to the laboratory and then to the certification body for analysis, review, and hopefully final approval. And with that, I think I'm handing it off to the NFC Forum side, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
That's correct. Thank you, Jörg. Hello, everyone. My name is Arnaud Schreiner. I am the chair of the NFC Forum Compliance Committee, and I'm very happy to be here today for this very first workshop on CCC Digital Key together with NFC Forum. I'm also working at NXP and based in Austria. I've been working on NFC Forum for now almost 9 years. I hope to know in every corner of this certification program, and I would like today to drive you safely in the understanding of what is the NFC Forum certification program, in order for you to be able to get this CCC Digital Key certification. Let me present you what we will cover in this presentation. So first, I would like to give you an understanding of a global overview of this certification program to be able to link to my second point on what has changed to be able to offer certification for CCC. And once we know that, I want to explain you what the steps for you to get certification, and finish by a small point on our new test release, which has been launched beginning of this month. And finally, also to show you that why certification will improve at the end the user experience, and to finish by a conclusion. Next slide, please. So let's start together with an overview of this certification program. So to start here, I would like to start with the added value of this certification program for you, but as well as for also the NFC Forum, why the NFC Forum has decided to create such a certification program. The first point is to bring a better user experience. We want to bring a consistent behavior across the NFC Forum ecosystem. So when you enter your car, when you perform a connection handover, when you access your building or transit, and so on. With this certification program, we will give you a quality assurance because we are testing that you are compliant to the requirement defined in the technical specification. also, to tell you the truth, not every device is able to pass NFC Forum certification. So this certification will give you a factor to differentiate yourself from your own competition. Also, maybe a very important point, this certification program is mature. It has been established back in 2012, and we have been working for more than now 12 years to make it better and better. And as you know, it's already, this certification program is already recognized by many organizations like GSMA, GCF, PTCRB, now CCC, and also USI, which stands for Universal Stylus Initiative. Next slide, please. Let me explain you what's a core element of this certification program. The first point is that we have a clear process, a clear certification process, which is written in documentation and reviewed by all the stakeholders of NFC Forum. We have test cases, which are validated and reviewed by many stakeholders in NFC Forum, so IC manufacturer and product manufacturer, test tool vendor, and as well as laboratories. We have also approved test tools. So those test tools has passed successfully a validation procedure at a validation house. Currently, we have Comprion, who were the first to successfully pass the CR13. We have also Scilab, and we have also FIM. Another point, we have also authorized test lab, which are neutral entity to test your device. And we have put on top at NFC Forum a process to ensure that all the labs are giving the same results. So this process is called ILCT, and it stands for Interlab Comparison testing, exactly, inter-laboratory comparison testing, and this will ensure that every lab is giving you exactly the same verdict, which is pass. We have also a neutral certification authority at NFC Forum who are here to review the test report given by labs to give you after the certification or not. And finally, we are here at NFC Forum to also promote that your device has been certified by listing it on the website. Next slide, please. So here it's my last slide on the overview. The certification program is packaged into certification release. Certification release is composed of first a devices requirement. So this is our document which defines the device class. That's a very important term that I will reuse along my presentation, because those device class are defined with a specific set of features that we call interoperability module. And this is the features that will ensure that your device are interoperable with another device class. And they are generally designed for specific use case and application. We have also inside a test release, which gather all the test cases document. We have a test plan generator tool, which is a tool offered by NFC Forum to give you the right selection of test cases depending on your device. And we have as well process document. So that's what you have on the left of your screen. But here on the right, I show you an example. So that's a current release, which is working for CCC, CR13. So we have a devices requirement document version 3.x. We have this 13.0. And finally, we have TPG for 13.0 and process document. Next slide, please. So I gave you an overview on what is a certification program. And now I would like to go in detail on what was the output of this very good partnership together with CCC. And this I can summarize in 3 points. The first one, very important because it was not the case before. Now certification is open to non-NFC Forum members. So if you want to go for the CCC Digital Key Certification, you will not need to be as well an NFC Forum member. Of course, as NFC Forum members, I will always recommend you to be a member because you can have more benefit, like having access to the test case document or the TPG tool, but this should not be a showstopper for you to get certification. We have introduced as well 2 new device classes, which are specifically designed for CCC and for the automotive market. So this CCC Digital Key Reader device class and the CCC Digital Key Card Emulation device class. So on the first device class, which are most likely for a car, so like on the door handle or in the console reader, we will require you to support at least the Type 4 ATAC operation module. So that's a table you can see on your right with a M, which stands for mandatory. So we ask you at least to support the platform, and this is equivalent to layer 4 of 14443. So you should be able to exchange APDUs, and we will check so the analog and digital and so on. And finally, very important one is the automotive CR grace period of 72 months, which is exactly 6 years. We know that the automotive market cycle development is different from the consumer electronic one. Today we have in NFC Forum 18 months, but this was seen as well too short for the automotive market. So we have decided to introduce this 72 months. So what does it mean? It means that now we are at CR13. So if tomorrow CR14 will start, in general in NFC Forum we will stop to do CR13. But only for the automotive market, we will allow you to still certify for CR13 until for the next 6 years. Next slide, please. So now I've shown you what was I gave you an overview of what is a certification program, and now that you understand it, I would like to explain you how easily it is to get to the steps to get the certification. So the first part is determine your device class. 2 choices, like I explained, CCC Digital Key Reader device class or CCC Digital Key Card Emulation device. Card emulation device. Second point, select your certification track. You have full certification, inheritance, or rename. I will go in details in the next slide. Once you have made your decision, you just have to test your device at an ATL. So here you can select an ATL directly on the NFC Forum website. You have a list. You just go in, I think it build, and after you go to lab and tool, and you will get the list here. And once the test is done, you should receive a test report. And you go to point 4, submit application, and here it's very easy. You just go on the NFC Forum website. It's guided, and normally 2 days after, you will receive your certificate, and you will be listed on the NFC Forum website. Next slide, please. So let's just stop 1 second on what's the certification track. So at NFC Forum, we have 3 certification tracks. Full certification, inheritance or rename. If your device is not based on an already certified device, you will go for full certification. That's what most likely it's IC manufacturer which will go to this track, and they will have to perform both analog and digital testing. But if your device is using a certified implementation, so for example, a module which is using an IC which is already certified, you can choose between inheritance and rename. If you think that your device has changed the NFC implementation in compared to what the IC manufacturer has certified, then you will have to go through inheritance. Let me give you some example. For example, if you have changed the design of the antenna, if you have changed the tuning, if you have added a metal part, if you have added some plastic somewhere, it could have an impact on your NFC implementation. So I will recommend you to go to the inheritance track. And if you have any doubt, you can go to the inheritance track. Here, you will inherit from digital results, so no need to repeat them at the ATL, and you have to do only the analog testing. And on the other side, if you think it's perfectly the same, then you can just go to rename, and rename here, it's no testing required. So that could be the example, you have certified one module, you have a second module which is adding a USB port or something which is not related to your NFC implementation, then you can go here for a rename. So that's all for certification track. Let's go to the next slide, please. And here, so that's the last part. So you went to the ATL, you have done the test. Now you just go on the NFC Forum website. There is a very easy guided process to submit your application. So that's a picture on your left. I know you cannot see anything, it's too small, but have a look, go on the website and check how it is. And normally 2 days after, you will be able to, you will get your device listed on the NFC Forum website. So that's the picture on the right. Important point, and that's why it's noted here on the slide. If you don't want to be listed, you can keep your certificate private. And also if your launch of product is 1 or 2 months later, you can say directly in the application process that you want your certificate to be published on an NFC Forum website only in 1 month or 2 months. That's also possible. So that's all for the steps to get certified. So I hope it was very clear. And now let's go to one minor point. Next slide, please. So this slide is not very relevant for us to get CCC certification, but that's something I want. There is one message I want to share with you. Beginning of this month, we have launched at NFC Forum a new test release TR13.2, part of the CR13. We have added the following content. So now you can set what's your minimum NDEF message size. Now we have simplified the test for the TAP4 tag and TAP5 tag. We have made the SDSelect command optional, and we have updated the where we measure the field activation requirement. So from those 4 bullets, here is only 1 bullet which is relevant for a CCC Digital Key reader and card emission device. It's the 3rd point, the SDSelect command. So if you were getting a fail before, now you will get a pass. So that's a positive, let's say, positive step towards getting you to be certified. But the main message I want to share is that, yes, this release has clearly no impact on CCC Digital Key reader and card emission device. Next slide, please. So let's have a look on how certification can improve your user experience. So what do you want to give to your customer? You want to give him the best NFC user experience. So for this, you want that your user is having that the action of the user is successful on the first attempt, and also that this is successful not only to access the car, but also in every use of the NFC. In the NFC ecosystem, so like connection and over and so on. And this can be achieved thanks to NFC Forum certification, because we will test on the analog part that your device is robust in terms of communication in the whole operating volume by testing against different antenna size. So for example, if you are a reader, we will test you against a listener 1, which is a class 1 antenna, listener 3, class 3, and listener 6, class 6. And also for digital, we will test on different limits of digital parameter to make sure that your device is also robust. And this all together, this will bring an improved user experience if your device is certified. On the right, you can see that what's the current NFC Forum operating volume. I would like to share that we have a long-term plan within NFC Forum, which is to extend the NFC Forum operating volume. Like I said, it's a very long-term plan, and we want to make it in a very smart way, which is that even for this new operating volume, that it will still be compatible with the old operating volume, so no backward incompatibility. But like I said, it's a very long-term plan, and just wanted to share that. And next slide, please. So here is my conclusion. So so with NFC Forum CR13, we were able to satisfy the request from CCC to launch in time back in November 2021. And the results for us is that today we have already 38 NFC Forum certification for the CCC Digital Key reader device class. So that's very good news for us. Only one on the card emission device class, but this actually is, makes sense, because if you can also certify it for a mobile device and for card emission device, the generic one, and this would still allow you to be interoperable with the reader device class. So yeah, this is perfectly understandable. So we have shown that, yeah, NFC Forum was a reliable partner for CCC, and we want to continue on this way, and we are completely open on improving this certification program for CCC. Just to finish, to let you know some items we are working on within the forum, maybe not relevant for CCC, but we are working on increasing the power for the NFC wireless charging. We are working on this operating volume extension, as I explained in the previous slide. And finally, we are working on this multiple purpose tap, meaning that you do one tap and several actions. Where, in contrary today, when you do one tap, you can do one payment. Maybe now you could do with payment plus get your bill directly on your phone. So that's all for today, and hand over for the Q&A. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Arnaud. If everyone would want to go back on camera, I can kind of pass these around. There's 3 questions already in the queue. So I'll just start at the top. So someone did ask a question, and I think maybe this has been answered during the process of the conversation, but we'll open it back for Glenn and Jorg. The question is, will the CCC mandate certification or is it optional?
Well, I can take that. It's mandated. So I'm assuming it's talking about NFC certification is required for CCC certification of the full digital key implementation.
And is that specific to digital key? Do you have other parts of the certification, or is this, you're talking specifically about digital key? So to get digital key certification, you must also have NFC Forum certification.
And there's other certifications that we require as well, but in regards to
Understood.
this one, yes, NFC.
Okay, good. All right, this one's a little bit more complicated, but let me just kind of follow along here. So it says, if a vehicle gets a CCC certification passing the end-to-end interoperability testing, is NFC compliance to NFC Forum automatically assumed for the readers that the vehicle equips, or is a separate certification required?
Maybe I can take that. So there are basically two distinctive pieces. So we do end-to-end interoperability testing, which is really testing the end user behavior, and we validate that message exchanges on the NFC transport are according to our specification. But these are high-level message exchanges we are looking at. So the APDUs. As Glenn mentioned, we require NFC Forum certification as the prerequisite to obtain CCC certification. So to validate that on the physical layer, on the lowest NFC layer, a device is compliant with NFC Forum specification. That is done as part of the NFC Forum certification. CCC will not revalidate this. So we are not redoing the testing NFC Forum has already done. So we rely on NFC Forum certification to provide us the guarantee that the devices are operating according to their specification, NFC Forum specification, and we build on those.
Okay, great. Arnaud or Glenn, do you want to add anything to that, or do you think that's pretty sufficient?
No, that's very clear. Thank you, Jorg.
Okay, awesome. Next question is, will this recording be available to participants? The answer to that is yes. So anyone that's registered for this webinar, at least I know the NFC Forum plans to reach out to all of them with a link to the recording, so they'll be able to watch. This will be posted probably tomorrow. So give me a couple of days to get staff to get around to that, but it will be posted publicly. The next question is, in the automotive industry, if I understand correctly, if all the components are NFC Forum certified, will the assembler, say the OEM, certify by inheritance? So if I'm the automotive OEM.
I can take that as well. Yes, so we basically allow the NFC module to be integrated into an end product as a module. We allow a door handle or a console reader to be NFC Forum certified separately, and then be integrated into a vehicle. And then the usual things apply, right? So that you integrate without doing any change to hardware and software. And if you do this, you're allowed to inherit the certificate from the NFC Forum. So similar aspects what Arnaud went through when he explained the different flavors for NFC Forum certification. Some of that applies to CCC certification as well.
All right, Arnaud, anything to add?
No, yeah, that's perfectly answered by Jorg, I think. I will just repeat again. Yeah, if the NFC implementation is exactly the same, you can inherit. If you have any doubt, you can always go to the inheritance path of NFC Forum to reperform analog testing. And anyhow, you should get a pass here. If you don't get a pass on analog testing, then you don't achieve interoperability. So I think no need, but if you want, you can do it.
Yeah. And I'm sure everyone that's on this call is very well aware I mean, I think it's always good practice. It's a good insurance policy to at least go back through inheritance to make sure your analog's working, because there's so many materials involved in these type of implementations. So it's a cheap insurance policy for most in products to go through at least that path. All right, let's see. The next question is, do we need for the NFC Forum certification? Let's see. Do we need for the NFC Forum certification dedicated application installed on the NFC car NFC readers like DTA for digital and analog tests? Does that question make sense?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, for NFC Forum certification and NFC Forum testing, you will need to comply to have an application like a DTA, which comply to our DTA specification. But basically, if you support loop back functionalities, then you got everything.
All right, great. What happens if the digital key is implemented with just BLE and ultra wideband and NFC is not used? And they don't plan to use the CC logo either.
Well, they won't get certified, so that they won't receive a certification from CCC, which means they can't use a logo or anything like that.
Okay. All right. This one's about the 72-month grace period.
I'll just make another comment. Just one other comment. There's very good reasons why we mandate NFC, and one is in the mobile environment with a vehicle, you're gonna have something like your phone may run out of charge, so you can't do phone calls. But with NFC and its low power, you can still activate your vehicle. Putting a solution out there that consumers would want to be able to trust in any sort of situation, you know, one would have to be careful about thinking of not including NFC.
Right.
And that's why it's very mandatory for us.
Right. And even in the worst fallback situation, even if your phone was dead, in most use cases, people could even carry a plastic card basically as well to interoperate with a door handle as well, correct, Glenn?
Yes, I mean, so manufacturers may or may not include NFC cards. That's outside of our scope.
Right.
We are, you know, we talk about these things and members bring up new use cases that we discuss, and that's one of the joys of being a member is you can contribute to those kind of things. But exactly, but you know, I'm eating my own dog food. I have a car that is implemented with NFC in the phone, and I don't carry a key fob, and I trust it completely.
Right, right.
Yeah, if I can add on top
yes.
from NFC Forum perspective, something which is not listed in my slide is, so if you want to get certification for a CCC Digital Key card emulation device, you will have to pass also what we call the battery low mode test. So we will ask you to pass again analog testing. I mean, a subset of analog test cases where the battery of your device has been depleted. And this ensure us that the use case when your battery is dead, that you're still able to access your car.
And I do want to clarify, Arnaud, so when we say battery dead, this is not power reserve mode. This is the state further with less power than that, or is it in the power reserve state?
Power reserve state, sorry for the misunderstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't have the specifications on that, but I know that's basically the user experience is your phone turns off, so it's dead, but you can turn it back on and see like you need a plug in. The screen powers on just to tell you need a plug in to get this thing going again. That's power reserve mode, at least on iPhone devices that I've seen. So, all right, awesome. And of course, the benefit of NFC is you could use a card as well. So if you want to have the ultimate fallback, Glenn, you could carry that card in your pocket as well. So even if the phone had been dead for several weeks, you'd still be able to get into your car with that card. So, which is great. All right, this is a question about I'm sorry, I started this question earlier about the 72-month grace period. Does the 72-month grace period only refer to the possibility of certifying the corresponding release, or may no more products with an outdated release be sold after expiration?
Can you repeat the question once again? Sorry, Mike.
I think I know the answer to this. Well, I know the answer to this, but I'll let you answer it. So the question is on the 72-month grace period. Does this mean that you can no longer certify, or is it that you can no longer sell those products after the expiration, the 72-month expiration period?
You cannot certify anymore. Of course, the certificate, NFC Forum certificate that you get for your device is for life.
Right.
There is no expiration date on the NFC Forum certificate.
Right. All right, great. We have one person asking, and I don't know the answers. They have heard that some companies are exploring or have also deployed NFC technology for car sharing. Has anyone heard of any use cases like that around the world of using NFC for car sharing?
Are you saying car or card sharing?
Car sharing. So, I mean, what I'm assuming the use case would be is if I was a car sharing service, a company that lets you rent cars, for instance, like a bird bike, like a little scooter kind of a thing, that they could use NFC for that in the car use case. Have you heard of any companies that have deployed that or launched that yet at all, Glenn?
I'm gonna say.
There's been a lot of talk about it.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk, and the key sharing. So I'm going to call this key sharing, and key sharing amongst devices is active, known. What I'm trying to walk on carefully here is like there's not a concept of taking your phone NFC and somehow sharing it to a card today. If you're say a card, that would be out of the scope of CCC today. Now we do have companies that bring in use cases, and they talk about they talk about all sorts of things. I think that's the best way I can answer that.
So maybe one addition. So as part of our CCC specification, we actually have a concept of a server-based owner device, which is particularly addressing car sharing and fleet management cases. So where the vehicle itself is not owned by an individual, but by a fleet management company or by a rental car company. So that is something what we call a server-based owner device. So we have specifications attached to the digital key specification to support those use cases.
Right, and those digital keys could be distributed over the internet directly to someone's phone, to the wallet. Is that?
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we have a couple more questions. I want to make sure we get to all of them. What if someone has a CCC compliant system but has not undergone the certification process?
Simple answer is they don't get to use the logo.
Right. Okay. Here is yeah, go ahead, Glenn.
Well, the added benefit of certification is proven interoperability because you've
Right.
gone through the process. So good on you that you might implement it, but when we start talking about this key sharing or different vehicles, where's that interoperability been tested if you haven't gone through the CC mechanisms? So
yeah.
This
is someone wanting to get further clarification on reader. Say, to clarify again, in case the digital key reader is integrated into different door handle design, shall we perform NFC Forum certification for all variants, in parentheses, inheritance?
So from NFC Forum perspective, if you think there is no change in your NFC implementation, then you should go to the rename certification track. And here, no testing at all. If you think there is a change, so you have changed the design of the antenna, you maybe are using a metallic painting that could affect also the NFC implementation. Here, you should go to the inheritance path and reperform analog. And that's how you you get the NFC Forum certificate.
Right. And to reiterate, as you've mentioned on your slide that showed the operating volume, the tolerance is fairly tight. You know, we're talking about 5 millimeters, which is a very short distance, and materials can have an impact on interference in those cases. And I hadn't even thought about the metallic paint, but that's another example of something that could, you know, potentially, you know, interfere with an NFC signal. Correct or no?
That's correct. So that's why, if you have any doubt, we always recommend to go to undergo again through the analog testing. And to tell you the truth, you should get a pass. And if you get a fail, that's concerning, because NFC Forum guarantees you the base of interoperability. If you are not able to do NFC Forum, it's unlikely you will get a problem in the field.
Right. Yeah.
NFC Forum is not about performance; it's about the base of interoperability.
Correct. Thanks. This next question is about, about similar question. So can an OEM device be certified one time and be used in multiple models of cars? And so I think this is basically the same question. Would anyone object to moving on? I got a couple more here. All right. That sounds like the one we just answered. Yeah. Okay. Is the certification test price fixed for all test labs? And what is roughly this price? So I'll let Arno fill in behind this. As it relates to the NFC Forum, when a company submits an application with a signed test report, we do not charge for that test. We do have a pricing structure that's fair to all of our test labs, where we do have a test case license fee that we charge the labs for use of our test cases. And it's a business decision by the test labs how much information they want to share with their customers, but we don't, all we control is the test case license fee that we charge them for those. And there's a very, we have a wide variety of test prices. The licensing fees are slightly different because, as Arno mentioned, our different device classes, there's some of them are smaller tests, some are more tests. And so we've made it to be pretty fair based upon the number of tests that are being licensed to the test labs. Would you want to add anything to that, Arno?
No, that's perfectly correct. And the price on top to execute the test here, it's private to the lab.
Yeah.
And I would advise anybody to go get a quote and the answer in very short time. So like this, you can even compare between labs if you want.
Right, great. Let's see here. Okay, so I don't know if any of us are going to be able to answer this, but I will just toss it out there very quickly. Well, I mean, it's because it's a device question. So we all know that, you know, we've talked about how NFC can unlock the doors when the phone battery is dead. But how long would it take for a phone to normally stop working entirely? And the example they gave was 2 days, a week, or, you know, and I think it's going to vary based upon the device manufacturer of the phone, the age of the battery, and a bunch of other variables. That's why I would think that no one in this would want to answer that question, unless, Glenn, you want to take a stab at it.
No, I don't have an answer for that question.
Okay. Yeah, mileage may vary. And of course, the static card that hopefully you would get from the car manufacturer would always be the fallbacks if they provide that to you, because that doesn't have a battery in it at all. All right, so one question had a little bit of clarification on CR13. So Arno, CR13 is from November 2021. Is that the currently required certification for CCC, or is it now this 13.2 or 13.1? Because we've got a couple of steps we did along the way.
Yeah, yep. Maybe I can take that. So for CCC certification, we require CR13. for both the vehicle and the end user device side. For the vehicle side, we understand that some of the vehicles actually have obtained NFC Forum certification on a much older certification release, so we support this as well. So we provide waivers and exemptions for older releases. I think we support releases, I think starting with CR9, if I'm not mistaken. Everything before that we don't accept, but under certain conditions we would allow some older certification as well. Just understanding the automotive life cycle, as we discussed in the beginning. So yeah, but there's a dedicated waiver process for older NFC Forum certification, but otherwise CR13 is what we require.
All right, we're almost out of time. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just to complete on Jörg, I think you explained, Jörg, when you have a very old certificate, but if you don't have any certificate today, yeah, we require you CR13.
Yeah.
So up to beginning of the month, it was TR 13.0, so it was the test case listed in TR 13.0, and now it's the test case listed in TR 13.2, but there is no impact for a CCC digital key reader and card emulation device, so it can only help you to pass certification. So if you were failing before, there is likely because of this STselect command that now which is optional, that now you can pass certification. So
awesome.
That's all.
All right, we have like 2 minutes left. I'm going to combine a couple of questions. So there's a couple of questions about the DK applet testing. So one of them is about who can perform that testing. Can it be done by the vehicle manufacturer or whoever supplies the applet? And then also, well, just expand more on the DK applet testing. What more can you add about that, Jörg?
Right. So to be clear, the DK applet side is only on the phone. So we don't have any requirements on DK applet and DK applet testing on the vehicle side. So it's a pure functionality on the phone side, on the end user device side we require. So the DK applet is a piece of software which runs on the secure element and which handles all the key message changes and establish of trust chains and authentication and encryption and all this. So it contains all the credentials, the private keys, and all that. So that's contained in there, and then it does the ciphering operations within the DK applet and basically on the secure element. I mentioned this is done with a compliance test tool. We have a test tool which has been developed actually by Melon, and we are using this. This typically be done by the secure element vendors because they typically develop the DK applet as well. So that will be typically done together with the secure element and the DK applet. It's simple protocol compliance testing. We are using global platforms, some variants there in order to get access to the applet. So there is some channels we are using, and we are relying on global platform specifications for enabling this.
All right, awesome. Well, we're at the top of the hour. This question, or the last question I'll get to as we shut down today. I don't know, you can give as much information as you want. There's a question about, is there any schedule for CR14? And is there any expectations that this might impact the CCC certification work? So if someone's listening to this call and they hear that we've come out with the next version of our certification release, should they be concerned about CCC compliance?
So today for CR14, nothing committed. We are working with another organization completely different from CCC to establish a certification track for them. So most likely not decided, it will be for this external organization, but this will have clearly no impact on CCC Digital Key Certification. It will be a complete different path than CCC.
And the current policy as it states, so if we were to go out 5 years from now and we're sitting out at CR20, I'm just making this up, they'd still be able to do CR13 because there's always going to be the 72-month grace period, correct?
Yes, if CR20 happen in the next six years, you're still able to use CR13.